everyone, this is Sophie from Summit Chiropractic. As you can see, I've got the bats behind me all ready for Halloween. We are in the month of October already. There's just under 12 weeks left of 2022, which I think is crazy. So today I am going to be sharing something which you can start doing to help with your health for the rest of this year, because all the changes we make over the next 12 weeks is just going to make sure that when we do enter the year of 2023, we are already one step ahead of the game. So a lot of us do suffer with aches and pains or general sort of stiffness in our body, whether that be in our neck, our shoulders, our mid-back, our low back, anywhere really. And a lot of the time I think we put a very big basis on what is happening physically, and we forget about the emotional component and how that can actually affect our bodies. There's actually 3 components in total which affect us and result in symptoms and us feeling not our best. So it's physical, chemical, and emotional. So chemical is things like our diet, it's also our environment, what's around us. Some of these things we can't control, which is very much the same like our emotions as well, the third one there. There's a lot of things there which sometimes are out of our control. Now, the issue that we see a lot in practice is that our lifestyles have changed so much to the point that we don't allow ourselves that time to switch off and to rest, relax, recover. We're constantly on the go. We're always busy, we're always doing stuff. And even if that stuff is fun, social stuff, we are still on the go. So it means that our nervous system is now out of balance. So we have 2 parts of our nervous system. We have our parasympathetic side and our sympathetic side, okay? Now the sympathetic is where actually we are on the go, and it releases a lot of chemicals like cortisol, adrenaline. It's very much that stress response, and we should only be in that about 20% of the time. Nowadays, try and guess how much of the time we are in that sympathetic state. Did you take a guess? It's 80% of the time. That is a huge change. So no wonder we're all feeling stressed, we're all getting those aches, and we're having problems with our health in general. There are so many things we can do physically to help our bodies. Really simple thing is like stretching, exercise, that can really help you. Even your adjustments, although your adjustments actually going to affect all 3 of those different types of areas. But what I want to introduce to you today is something you can do to help with the emotional side of what is going on. So I wanted to share a few snippets out of this book. Hopefully you can see that. This book is called Your Body Speaks Your Mind, okay? And how lucky am I that the team bought this for me for my birthday this year. It's a really great book. Highly recommend it. Or if you just want to flick through it, let me know and you can have a look for it, okay? So what I'm going to start off with, first of all today, which is on page 173, you can see this is a stress review. So this is a quiz to assess personal stress levels, okay? So I'm just going to read this here. So taking this quiz will enable you to assess your stress level and see where you need to bring change. So what you need to do is you need to sit quietly. You need paper and pen handy. So feel free to pause the video, get pen and paper, come back to me. And then you're going to answer the questions that feel most applicable to you and respond as fully and honestly as you can. So really what we're doing here is we're taking a moment to reflect, because as I've said, our lives are go, go, go. Not very often do we actually just sit down and see where we are at. Now, unless we know where we are at, we can't make a full change to where we want to be. Okay, so I hope you're with me. So I'm going to just read out some of these questions. They're in different categories. I will probably speed through them because you know I like to talk fast. So feel free to pause wherever you need to, okay? So the first questions are about your work, okay? Do you feel you have too much to do? That's question number one. Do you often work overtime? Do you enjoy what you do? How does your work environment feel? Does it feel like depressing, sad, loud, like pressured? Is it just too much? How do you feel about your colleagues? I feel that's a really good question because we spend a lot of time with our colleagues, okay? Sometimes more time with them than family members during the day. So how do you feel about them? Do you feel unfulfilled, okay? So those were questions about work. These are questions about your family. So have you recently experienced a death or loss in the family? Have you recently been married, separated, or divorced? Because it doesn't always have to be negative things. So getting married is like amazing, right? But I know when I got married, it was a lot of stress. There's so much to plan when it comes to a wedding. So have you got married recently? Has anyone in your family recently experienced a particularly difficult time, such as mental illness or trouble with the police? Is anyone ill in need of your care? Do your parents need you or worry you a great deal? And have you been able to share any of these difficulties? So the next one is about your relationships. Is your primary relationship, how is it? Is it a happy one? Do you disagree about things like lifestyle preferences or the children? Do you feel unable to stand up for yourself? Did you grow up watching your parents having difficulties, fighting, ignoring each other? Do you find it difficult to be committed to a relationship? And do you have anyone you can talk to? So I know you're probably thinking, Sophie, this is very deep. Like, where are we going with this? But a lot of the time we do have issues which are very much deep rooted. A lot of the time we have issues from childhood, but we just, of course, we just carry on with life, don't we? We don't address these things and we think that everything's okay, but sometimes they are bubbling under the surface. And this can really make a huge impact to how your body is physically. So please do this exercise. Please do bear with me because I promise you it's going to help. So the next category is about yourself. Do you believe or have you been told there's no good, or do you feel you're worthless? Do you get irritated or annoyed easily? So perhaps you have really bad mood swings. Do you feel that you're always rushing? Do you have an addiction to something? Do you feel trapped or powerless often? Do you panic easily? Maybe you have really bad anxiety. Are you angry about something which has happened or feel out of control about something? And then the very last category here is about your health. Do you get tired or run down easily? Do you get regular exercise? Do you eat while doing other things such as watching TV? Is TV, alcohol or food your main means of relaxation? Do you have deep muscular aches and pains? Do you drink more than 2 cups of coffee a day? Do you spend any part of the day being quiet and reflective? Okay, so that is the stress review. I know that I flew through it. So hopefully you have taken some time in a quiet space to sit down and write the answers to some of those questions. You don't need to do it all. Maybe you can just pick even just 2 or 3 questions from each category and write down the answers. Go for the things which are applicable to you. Go for the things which perhaps are quite hard or difficult for you to answer. Maybe things that you need to confront, okay? And then once you've got this, you're going to be able to see exactly where you are right now and how good you feel about those different areas of your life. When it comes to our health is going to be impacted by so many different things. So sometimes we think about the basics of, am I moving enough and am I eating well? But actually, how social we are, do we spend enough time with our friends? That will have an impact with your health. Or maybe it's like what you're doing for work. Are you feeling fulfilled? Do you enjoy your work? That will have an impact on your health. Even things like your own personal development, that again is going to have an impact on your health. So there's something that you can just look up yourself, which is called the Wheel of Life. If you type it into Google, go to images, you'll see lots of different examples there. And that basically, almost like that stress review really that we just done, it gives you different categories of your life. And what you do is you rate each of them on a scale of 1 to 10. So 10 being like fantastic, 1 being really rubbish, okay? And ideally, all those different categories should be fairly fairly evil? That's not the right word. Fairly even and level, okay? So that's what you want to be looking at. And if you can get those different areas of your life as equal as you possibly can, then a lot of the time that will have a bearing and an impact to your overall health, okay? So I also have been reading another book called The Tap-In Solution. I wonder if you've heard of Tap-In. If you have, leave a comment below and let me know. It's also known as EFT, or Emotional Freedom Technique. So what this is tapping on different areas of your body. So as an example, you would tap like this on the side of your hand. There's ones you do on your head at the top here. You move around all these different areas. So like you do the top of the eyebrow, the side of the eye, and all these different points are actually acupressure points. So this is how acupuncture works, but it's a way of doing it for yourself. So you tap on all these different areas, and as you're tapping on these different areas, you talk things out, basically. You talk about all the negatives of a certain situation, and then you reframe and you talk about all the positives of a situation. Or perhaps you just get to the bottom of why you're feeling the way you're feeling. So this has been shown to be really effective on pain. So if you're in a lot of pain and you've tried lots of different things, but the pain just doesn't ever fully go, this is something for you. Or if your pain comes in waves, for example, if you suffer from migraines, so you get maybe once or twice a month where your migraines are really severe, awful, you feel rubbish, okay? This is the time, or that would be the time, when you would use EFT. So you wanna head over to YouTube and type in Brad Yates, okay? Brad, B-R-A-D, his surname is Yates, Y-A-T-E-S. And you want to type him in and it's gonna come up with lots and lots and lots and lots of different videos, because tapping is effective not just for pain. It's effective for your mental health, anxiety, reducing stress levels. It can help with your work. It can help with phobias. The list really does go on and on. So find something which is relevant for you, something that you need to work through. Okay, so it might be Brad Yates headaches. I'm sure it's going to come up with a video for that, and you're going to tap. These videos are fantastic because they're really short. They're probably about 5 to 10 minutes in length. So you can do this really quickly, really easily, to help reduce your overall stress levels. And going back to what I was saying at the beginning about your nervous system being in that parasympathetic state or that sympathetic state, is going to change your nervous system from being in that stress, worked out, fight or flight parasympathetic state. It's going to move it over to that rest and digest, which is the parasympathetic side of your nervous system. So it's definitely worth a try. Now, before you try it, just to say, first time you do this, it's going to feel really strange. You're going to feel like, what has Sophie recommended to me? This is a really weird thing to be doing, to be tapping on different points of my body and repeating what someone is saying to me and speaking out loud to myself. So maybe something not to do at work, maybe something to do at the end of the day, at the end of the day when you're at home. But it works, okay? It's going to help balance out your hormones and your emotions. So going back to this book of Your Body Speaks Your Mind, I wanted to share a couple of things in here. And I can see, oh, okay, I found it. So here we go. So I wanted to talk about a few different symptoms or areas where you might feel aches and pains and what that can relate to, okay? Because when you're doing your tapping videos on YouTube, you might find that you start with one which is quite generic about pain, but then as you do the tapping, sometimes it can bring up different emotions which you perhaps didn't even think was related to the pain. And then you can go and find those videos and tap on that, okay? So we're starting here with the neck. Again, I'm just reading from this book. So the neck is a two-way communicator, both physically and emotionally. So this can sometimes be related to a mind-body split and can create tension, and a feeling of the neck being quite rigid, like you can't move it. And we see that a lot when people come into practice and they're instead of moving their head like this, they're actually moving their body, and their neck and upper back and shoulders almost becomes one unit. So this sometimes questions you need to ask yourself here is, do you listen to your feelings? Do you need to speak your heart? And do you need to put energy into thinking more? Sorry, let me come back to that. Do you need to put less energy into thinking and more into moving? So physical exercise, okay? Because neck and shoulder issues are very similar to headaches, which I'm gonna look at and share with you in a moment. But it's very much in the sense of things are weighing down on you. You feel like you have this pressure on your shoulders, this added weight, okay? So when it comes to stiffness in the neck, sometimes it can be, can you see your own point of view? Are you feeling resistant towards someone? Are you becoming narrow-minded in your attitudes? Perhaps you've had an ongoing argument with a family member or a friend, and you're so like honed in on your side of the argument that you're not seeing the other person's point of view. Or maybe there's that tension underlying which has been going on for a very long time. So it can literally be that someone is being a literal pain in the neck, right? Maybe they're asking too much of you. So again, this might be related to work. Do you feel you have too much on your plate? So a stiff neck may also indicate an inability to make a decision, literally not knowing which way to turn. So maybe you have a decision to make, which is a really important decision in your life, but you don't know what is the right answer. And that can actually come out as neck pain, which I think is really interesting. So since we're talking about neck pain, let's talk about headaches and migraines as well. So causes of migraines here sometimes can be fear of failure. So this fear is often due to having high expectations of yourself and the fear of not being able to meet those expectations. Another cause is issues of control and power, keeping tight control over yourself, your feelings, your environment, and not being spontaneous or creative or just going with the flow, trying to be in charge of every little detail. Another cause of migraines is a repression of feelings. So holding down those hot emotions such as frustration, anger and rage, and the heat soon rises in your emotional body. Headaches in general, both headaches and migraines can be helped enormously through diet, deep relaxation, breathing, visualization, and meditation. And of course now EFT, we know that too. So it's just taking a moment to switch off, relax, breathe, giving yourself that time to have that self-care, but not at the point when it's almost become too late, in the sense of a lot of the time that we choose to relax and switch off when we're already at that breaking point. For many of us, we only take a day off work when we're ill, rather than planning just to have a random day off work as a holiday and a switch off. So it's trying to have that downtime as a normal way of your life rather than a coping mechanism, okay? And then the last one I want to share with you is all about back pain. So the back is out of reach and out of sight. So this is the perfect place for hidden or repressed emotions or issues that you don't want to deal with, because if you can't see it, how can anyone else? So most especially, there may be layers of unconscious rage being held in the muscles of your back. I know I'm making this sound like all of our clients with back pain are angry, and I don't mean that at all. So some questions here is there something you have pushed away that you need to acknowledge and accept? Are you pushing back your feelings? Might be feelings of guilt, grief. You talk about having a bad back as if it has done something wrong, but is it the back that is bad or the stuff you have dumped there? What would it have to do to be a good back, okay? And is something holding you back from moving forwards? And that's a really good point, actually, because I think a lot of the time we talk about our symptoms, like back pain, as if it is a part of us, you know? And I think sometimes we can't actually even imagine us not having those symptoms, or we can't go back and remember a time of not having those symptoms. So just in that alone, it means that emotionally we are really holding on to that, because it's almost become part of our identity. You know, I'm Sophie, I have headaches, that's part of who I am. And so sometimes we need to disconnect from that and see that's two separate things, and be like, I am Sophie over here and the headaches are over here, and that is something which can go and also will go. So that's what we need to visualize. We need to have that hope. And I know that's hard sometimes if you've had some symptoms going on for years and years and years. You've tried X, Y, and Z, nothing's really corrected it, nothing's fixed it. And you think, well, this is just going to be me. I'm just always going to have back pain. I just need to look after my back. But we must remember that pain is not normal. It is just a warning sign that something is not right. And yes, it's common. Yes, there are so many people who suffer with their backs. 80% of us, if not more, I think nowadays, will suffer from our some type of back pain. I think it's like the second most common reason people go to their doctors is because of back pain. So we're all out here suffering. And so we just think, oh, it's a little niggle, it's a little ache, it will go. But there's so many different things that you can do to help. And of course, getting adjusted, I'm gonna say, is number one. It's up there, isn't it? We've got to make sure we're getting adjusted. But there are other things beyond just doing some exercises and stretches. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but there's more we can be doing for our health. And this is one of those things, looking at our emotions. So whether you try EFT, whether you try visualization, whether you just try some breathing, whether you just schedule more time out of your diary to just relax and switch off, whatever one you try, maybe try it all, you know. There's no harm in trying everything and just see what works for you. You've got to do something to help yourself emotionally, because when we work on ourselves like that, we are going to feel so much better in ourselves. So if you have any questions about anything that I have covered here on this video, please do let me know. please feel free to comment. You can send me a message on Facebook, or you can send a message on our Instagram. You can send us an email. You can email me at the Hemel Practice. The email address is hemel@summittocairo.co.uk. I'm here to help you as much as I possibly can to get you feeling as good as you can through releasing and unlocking your emotions and allowing your body to truly relax. So I feel like, with that being said, to finish this video off, just make sure you're sitting down, close your eyes if you can, and just take a really deep breath in and all the way out. Just letting your shoulders drop down. And if you want to, take a few more deep breaths, let yourself switch off, and I'll talk to you again very soon. Thank you for listening. Bye.